Between the years of 1930 and 1933, many Americans stood in lines that wrapped around city blocks. Some of them waited for hours. Some of them waited all day. Many banks were failing. People were not trying to deposit their money. They were trying to get it back. Families who had trusted these institutions for years suddenly realized that certainty and trust were not the same. By the time many of them reached the teller window, the doors were locked. Many banks did not reopen, and when that occurred, something remarkable happened. People took their money home. Money moved from bank vaults to coffee cans, from savings accounts to kitchen drawers, from financial institutions to mattresses. Now, the dollar hadn't changed, but trust had. And when trust left the bank, the money followed. We've seen this pattern several times throughout history. People do not change how they use money because money changes. People change how they use money because trust changes. For most of my life, I never questioned how money worked. I was employed, I got paid, I deposited my check in the bank, I paid my bills, I saved what I could. I followed the formula that many of us were taught. Work hard, save consistently, trust the system. But then I found myself sitting at my kitchen table asking a question that I had never asked before. Why does doing everything right no longer seem to produce the same results? The cost of groceries had changed. The cost of housing had changed. The cost of everyday life had changed. The paycheck still arrived and the bank account still existed, but the confidence in the process was beginning to erode. And it was in that moment I realized that I really had to look at money differently. Now, it's not because I became enthusiastic about economics, but it's because I became curious about trust. Trust is the invisible infrastructure behind every financial system. Yet most of us didn't know to think of it that way. And we've never had to think of it that way because the system still existed. Every form of money has been backed by trust. Before banks, people trusted precious metals. Before paper money, people trusted gold and silver. Before digital payments, people trusted checks. And each of these systems worked because enough people believed that it would. The history of money is not really the history of currency. The history of money is the history of trust. Consider this moment. In 1971, the United States officially ended the gold standard. Before that decision, the dollar represented a claim on a physical asset. Once ending the gold standard, the dollar had changed. The dollar's value greatly depended upon the confidence of the institutions supporting it. Now, many people didn't know to think of it this way or even recognize it. Why should they? The system continued to function. Paychecks still arrived, bills were still paid, life moved forward, but the foundation of money had shifted and trust became the asset. Consider a more recent example. Roughly 20 years ago, in order to pay someone, it involved writing a check. You got an envelope, you purchased a stamp, you waited for delivery, and then you waited for the bank to process it. No one held a national vote. No one made a large announcement to say that checks were becoming obsolete. People gradually adopted new systems and tools that felt faster, easier, and more dependable. Behavior changed because trust had changed. Looking back, I don't think the right question to ask is, what is happening to money? I think a better question to ask is, where is trust going? Because history has shown us that money will soon follow. Less than 20% of transactions in the United States are conducted with cash. At one point, cash represented nearly every transaction. That is not a minor adjustment. Cash did not just stop functioning. People simply stopped using cash in the same way. People will always look for different alternatives or different solutions. Ask better questions. And it doesn't matter if we are talking about the Great Depression, to the end of the gold standard, to the rise of digital payments. Different generations, different technologies, different circumstances, all with the same underlying force: trust. It doesn't matter the future of money. The future of money may involve new technologies, new regulations. It may require new tools that have not been invented yet. But one thing we do know is that the future of money will require exactly what previous versions required, and that's trust. People standing in lines outside the banks in 1933 realized something that many of us have overlooked. Money does not move first. Trust does. And when trust shifts, the world changes. Thank you.